Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update on the current situation in Spain. Day 160 of the current situation, and today it's all about Spain's chief health officer admitting that things are not going well. Firstly, big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as always. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a small donation. You can see your name here. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks as always to my patrons on Patreon for your ongoing support. Now, let's get into some of the news that has caught my attention over the last couple of days. And today it's all about the Chief Health Officer, Fernando Simon, coming out and saying that in some parts of Spain, the situation is out of control. We can see here in this headline that the health department warns after communicating 7,039 new cases that let no one be confused, things are not going well. Fernando Simon admits that although the epidemic is not out of control at a national level, it is in some specific points of the country. The emergency coordinator of the Ministry of Health, Fernando Simon, this afternoon launched an alert message to society in the face of the constant increase in cases and deaths from coronavirus that Spain has registered in recent weeks. Make no mistake, he said, things are not going well. And another headline here, Simon recognizes that the epidemic is out of control in some areas and asks the influencers for help. So the government there finally admitting that the situation is out of control in some parts of the country, although saying that it's not the whole country, and of course trying to get the message through to people. And interesting to see that he is now asking some of the social media influencers to get the message across to the younger generations that there is a problem in some parts of Spain. Now, of course, these messages from Mr. Simon come at a worrying time as the school year is about to start. I think it is 2 weeks away, more or less, from starting. And of course, both parents and students are worried about the possible return to classrooms in September. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, teachers in one autonomous community at least, Madrid, have said that they are going to strike for the first days of the return to school in Madrid. The two main unions in Spain assured that they have consulted their affiliated teachers and support the mobilizations by 80% and 71% respectively. And another headline here says the worsening of the epidemic pushes the autonomous communities to harden their plans for the new school year. Catalonia joins Galicia in announcing a stricter use of the mask in classrooms, and Madrid and Murcia foresee that teaching is not going to be totally face-to-face this school term. And that was something that Mr. Simon also addressed yesterday, saying that this is going to be a very complex year from an education point of view, considering that not all schools have the resources to take their teaching online. And of course, there are families in Spain that just don't have the means to adapt to online education either. For example, they might not have a computer, they might not have a tablet, maybe there's only one phone in the house. And of course, online education needs all of those factors in order for it to be successful. Now, we also spoke yesterday about the minimum vital income available in Spain for people that have trouble making ends meet. We said yesterday that the unions had criticized the government's handling of this minimum income, saying that the money was not getting through to the people that need it the most, blaming slow bureaucracy. And the government came out yesterday and said that they have turned down 20,000 requests for minimum vital income for excess income or assets. The Ministry of Inclusion, Social Security and Migration has clarified this Thursday how the process of granting the minimum vital income approved by the government to face the coronavirus is progressing. And the bottom line is that the process is proceeding slowly. The department headed by José Luis Escrivá has received a total of 750 applications, of which it has analysed a total of 143. That is 1 in 5. So 750,000 applications, but only 1 in 5 process at the moment. And as we saw, 20,000 or so cases rejected because they don't meet the requirements. Now, another headline that caught my attention, a more critical headline, let's say, Spain's mounting coronavirus crisis is met by government silence. Spain has re-emerged as the epicenter of the virus pandemic in Europe, and its government appears to be largely in denial over it. Prime Minister Sanchez is on vacation with his family and hasn't come out to address the public after Spain, over the course of this week, recorded the highest number of daily infections per million people in Europe. Each day brings more bad news. And that has been one of the biggest criticisms of this government in recent times. The leaders of the country have gone on holidays to forget about things for a while, but you would think that with case numbers increasing so rapidly that they would come back and take control of the ship. And it wasn't until yesterday that somebody finally came out from the government and admitted that there is a bit of a problem. Now let's have a look at the health situation in Spain, in particular 3 autonomous communities. We can see here the evolution of cases per 100,000 inhabitants in the last 14 days. For example, the Comunidad Valenciana, 72.96 cases. Madrid, 228.25 cases per 100,000. And finally here, Asturias, the area in Spain with the least amount of cases per 100,000 at 31.87. So cases in Madrid increasing very quickly, and I imagine that is why Mr. Simon came out yesterday and said what he said, because when August ends and everybody comes back to the capital, that's when we're going to see a problem most likely. Now, as we know, more restrictions are coming into place in Spain, for example, about smoking in public areas. So let's have a look here at what the fines are for smoking on the street. The sanctions can reach up to €3,000. And the first thing is to know exactly what the rule says. You cannot smoke outdoors or on public streets where you cannot respect an interpersonal space of at least 2 meters. The limitation not only applies to tobacco, but also to water pipes, e-cigarettes, and hookahs. Fines for smoking in the street range between €100 and €3,000. They are already part of the new sanctions regulations. And yesterday in the city of Malaga, the first fines for smoking in the street without that separation of 2 meters were given. Now, as we know, these new rules and regulations in Spain can differ according to the autonomous community that you are in. Some places have more rules than others. Some places are more strict with the rules. And we can see here that the regional norms are harder than the national norms, what can and cannot be done in each autonomous community. And they range from limiting the number of passengers in cars and self-tracking to banning parties on boats, eating on public transport, or smoking on the beaches. And let's have a look at some autonomous communities and see how they differ. So for example, in the Rioja region, and on top of the national measures, they have added some of their own. For example, self-tracking. Each citizen must write down in a notebook the people with whom they have had contact in order to facilitate the work of health services in the event of an outbreak. In Castile and Leon, in addition to reducing the capacity in bars and restaurants by 50% to stop the expansion of the virus, it has asked citizens to limit their activity to work and leisure with partners, relatives, work colleagues or friends with whom they see regularly. And in the Balearics, they have banned parties on boats, at swimming pools and in outdoor facilities at hotels. So lots of different rules and regulations around Spain at the moment, but if you are in La Rioja, don't forget your notebook to write down those contacts. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from the last video. First one here from Nora. Hello Stuart, I really love your videos. Don't stop, we need you. Any idea about the schools? There is total silence there. The children are back to school in September and there is no mention, no sound. How? What measures? Online? What is going on? Thanks, Nora. Yeah, Nora, thanks for the comment. Schools, as we saw earlier, one of the big problems for the government in coming weeks. And of course, also for parents and students, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension in families at the moment because people don't know what the situation is going to be. We saw that in Madrid, teachers are going to go on strike, and I imagine that is going to happen in other places as well. And this has also been one of the biggest criticisms aimed at the governments in Spain, not only the national government, but also governments in the autonomous communities because of the silence surrounding this particular problem. Maybe the problem is just too big for them to handle, but they have had time. They've had months to get themselves organized, but it just hasn't happened. And it's still not clear exactly what the teaching method is going to be, whether it's 100% online, 50-50, some type of blended learning. All of these questions have not been answered yet. One here from April. Really enjoy your videos, Stuart. Thank you for the time and effort in doing them. I just want to ask a question about health insurance requirements for Spanish residencia. We are looking to retire to Spain next year as we already have a property there. Do you have any advice about this, please? We have had a couple of quotes for the two of us ranging from £3,000 to £12,000, and they are insisting that it is all paid for the first year in advance. Should we be wary of any clauses or restrictions? Many thanks. Yeah, April, thanks for the comment. Not really sure on this particular topic because obviously I don't have to have health insurance in Spain since I work, I'm self-employed, and that takes care of my medical costs. I pay €280 a month, which gives me access to the national system, and I don't worry about private insurance. But the figures you quote there for the both of you seem about right. Obviously cheaper for the basic packages and more expensive for the more complex health insurance plans. But we'll put the question out there for the viewers. What health insurance do you pay? How much do you pay? And do those figures seem right in your opinion? Leave it in the comment section below. One here from Michael. A public prohibition in public spaces. I've been living in Spain for a year now. So many Spaniards I've met smoke. It's like telling them not to breathe. I don't smoke, but this is a restriction too far for most, and the only one I see that is ignored on a daily basis by an otherwise compliant population. Yeah, Michael, thanks for the comment. You're right. A lot of people in Spain do still smoke. Smoking is still quite popular. I've mentioned that in other videos in recent times. Or at least it's still popular compared to, say, Australia at the moment. And the restriction might be too far for most, but I imagine that it's going to be a very, very hard thing to police. And I don't know how many people are going to be fined for smoking in public. But it is one of the stranger rules that I've seen in public times, because remember that during the strict lockdown in Spain, the only things people could do were go to the supermarket, go to the pharmacy, and go to the tobacco shop. So a bit strange. One here from Rion. Hi, Stuart. Thanks so much for the updates and news on Spain as a whole. I'm highly aware of the effort it takes to post daily. Again, thankful. Going forward, do you see the country increasing restrictions to the same level seen in March and so on? My position is that I moved to Spain in June last year, renovating a cortijo and working in the UK. While away in March, I had to fly my family with 3 young children back to the UK. We are due in September for school. Do you foresee lockdowns coming back into play and flights in and out being reduced to next to nothing as before? Understand the complexity of this question. Thanks again. Yeah, Rion, thanks for the comment and lots of questions to look at there. I imagine that we are going to go back to some type of restrictions. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. There's been a lot of rumors in recent times about the borders possibly being shut down again in September. The Spanish government has come out and said that that is not the case. So it's just a question of whether you trust their word or not. There could also be some internal restrictions. Maybe people won't be able to travel freely around the country. For example, if you're in the Madrid area, you might not be able to travel to other parts of Spain. If you're in Valencia, you might not be able to travel to other parts either. It depends on the health situation in each place. As we have seen, there are different numbers in different parts of the country. Asturias, for example, has very low numbers. Madrid has higher numbers. They are increasing on a daily basis. So there could be local lockdowns, and that's what I am predicting. But my fingers are crossed, and basically that's all I can do, and hope that there's not going to be another strict lockdown like there was in March. But as I said, can you take the government at their word? One here from Ines. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Thanks for your videos. Watching from Switzerland, the Swiss don't believe in wearing masks, and unfortunately the usage is only required on public transport. Yeah, Ines, thanks for the comment. That was the expression from the other day. El que llora no mama. The English equivalent, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Basically what it means, obviously, is that if you don't complain, you don't get what you want, or something along those lines. And today's expression, cada moneda tiene dos caras. One here from Owen. Just panic escape from my partner's parents' village in Albacete. 90 new cases after local wallies went on a stag do. Lockdown of entire town of 4,000 inhabitants. We got our stuff and bolted for Valencia as we are moving to Mallorca from Monday. I don't like the panic these sudden lockdowns ensue. No fear of the virus, but fear of being confined. Yeah, thanks for the comment, Owen. And basically that's what's happening around Spain at the moment. Places are being locked down individually. We can see here this village of 4,000 people. We have seen that in other places around Spain in recent times as well. 90 cases here because of a stag do. So you can see that the situation can get out of control quite quickly. And that's what the government is very quick to do at the moment, shut down individual places. And this is the second story I've heard of people doing something similar, that when a lockdown or confinement comes to a particular village or town, people escape. One here from Dorothy. Some good news to counteract all this doom and gloom. Today they've started putting up the Christmas lights in Vigo. Stay safe everyone, and let's hope we're back to normal by Christmas. Yeah, Dorothy, thanks for the comment. I did read in the newspaper that the Christmas lights in Vigo are going up in August. A bit strange, but of course the mayor of that particular city is crazy about those Christmas lights. He wants obviously to put them up to make people feel good and to have something to look forward to. Back to normal by Christmas, I hope so. One here from DD Stewart. Thanks for the information about the situation. Looking to the future, which area would you suggest for learning Spanish? I really need to converse in Spanish and have been told some regional accents are difficult. Thanks, DD. Yeah, DD, thanks for the comment. There are many places in Spain that you could come to learn Spanish. For example, the Castillas. Obviously, people say that Castilla y León is one of the places where Spanish is spoken at its most purest form. Places like Valladolid, places like Salamanca, places even like Zamora, for example, could be a good place. Segovia as well. Even in Madrid, there's no problems with the accent. You can go to places like Aragon as well. The north of Spain, Cantabria, another good region. And the place in Spain where I've had most problem with accents is in Andalusia, in particular Cádiz and Malaga. Some people there, very, very difficult to understand. Acatí. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. See you in the next one. Hasta luego.